My name is Jenny, and I talk about random things that pop into my head. Welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, well, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming back. You're welcome to make comments in my comment section. I just ask that you please be civil as you do so. You do not have to agree with everything that I say, but I do ask that we be nice to each other, be polite. So, a couple days ago, I posted a video about what's going on between Israel and Iran, and, you know, things are happening kind of fast, but maybe not fast. I don't know. I guess it depends on your perspective. And so the big question now is, are we, the United States, going to get involved? And as of the moment that I'm recording this, from what I have heard, we are, but we don't know to what capacity and how involved we're going to be, or when. And of course we don't know when. And I really honestly wouldn't want to know when, because we don't give out our military secrets like that, because that's just foolish. It's bad strategy. Okay, so what's going to happen? I don't know. But I did hear a couple things that I find interesting. Obviously, Khomeini has sent the warning back to Trump. You know, Trump said this is going to be really, really bad for them. He's like, Khomeini's like, if the United States gets involved, the United States is going to be sorry, which is not shocking, really. But it raises concerns for me, and they're twofold, and I think I mentioned this in my last video on this topic, and that is, Khomeini is very, in his regime and the people who think the way he thinks, they hate us. They hate Israel. They call Israel little Satan. They call United States big Satan. And they don't like us. So there's that. But I don't want to see us be in a 9/11 or Pearl Harbor situation where we knew something could happen and we didn't do anything about it. You know, being passive, that makes you vulnerable when you don't keep your eyes open and do things to protect yourself. So there's that on one hand, but on the other hand, I really don't want to be in another Vietnam situation where we're fighting somebody else's war for them. You know, that didn't even work out in the long run for us. We ended up pulling out anyway, and with the way that the situation here is in the United States, there's so many people divided on just about anything you can talk about. Nobody agrees on anything. We're really split in half here as a country. And so if we go to fight on behalf of Israel without actually being active, you know, we're not declaring war ourselves, but we're supporting Israel, you know, that's just going to divide our country. And the last time we had this much unrest was in the 60s and early 70s. And it just really was a very tense time for us here in the United States. So, and we did not support our soldiers back in the 60s the way we probably should have. You know, and I don't want to see that happening again. Our soldiers are committed to protecting us. And, you know, we shouldn't be turning our backs on them. So there's that thought. But then I was also listening this morning, Gao, I think that was the man, Victor Gao, I want to say was his name. He was a representative of China. And, you know, China's another country that we have a relationship with them. We have trade with them. And we know that just recently there was a lot of back and forth. They were not happy with us with this tariff thing. And I think it's kind of settled now, but they're basically saying that they want peace. Of course, everybody's saying they want peace, but they're also saying that there should be. I'm trying to think how I can say it the way he said it. Iran is entitled to peaceful. I don't know how this works. Okay, peaceful nuclear. It sounded to me like you were peaceful nuclear bombs. I don't know how that works. Okay, when you hate other countries, when you're not trying to be peaceful, when you say death to the USA. I just don't know how that works, okay? But that's what he's saying. And that, I think that they may, from what he was saying and what I understood, that they may try, I'm not 100% sure on this one, but it sounded like they may try to intervene to bring some peace between Israel and Iran. I'm not 100% sure. I know that they apparently have a lot of, a relationship with Iran, and they're not in approval of what Israel did as far as attacking Iran. They do not approve. Then I was listening to Putin, and it was with a translator. It was difficult to follow, but I think the gist of it is the same thing. Like, they just want these two countries to somehow find a way to get along, to stop fighting. But I had a very hard time. The translation seemed kind of choppy. It was really hard. It was really hard to understand. So I was picking pieces out of what he was saying. It was like a press conference, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that either, but there was people asking him questions and he was responding. And all in all, I think that the significant, or the greater, or however you want to phrase that, world leaders who are watching what is going on at the moment, including President Trump, everybody says they want peace. Of course they want peace. Nobody wants to be fighting. But we're kind of in a situation here where I think inevitably we're going to be involved in it somehow. And my thoughts on it are for several reasons. First of all, that's what we do. We always get involved for some reason. I don't know why we're not involved in the Ukraine-Russian war right now. I really don't know why. And the second thing that I think is that it's inevitable. I think it. Most of the time, people, when they have a hard stand on something like this and there's already fighting happened, they don't back down unless you really hit them very hard where they just cannot continue on indefinitely. They don't back down, and that's what's happening here with Iran. Right now they still have lots and lots of bombs, and right now, as it stands, they're only fighting against Israel. And I'm not sure if they're thinking that we're standing on our own in this, and that nobody else is going to come to assist us if it becomes a situation where we really are in a war. And truthfully, I don't know if that's true or not, because who wants to get sucked into somebody else's war? But I was also watching this video about the big bomb, forgot what it's called, that they want to use to blow up the silos in Iran that are buried in the ground. And there's this huge airplane to carry these bombs, and apparently they can fly for a very long time without having to refuel. I think they said 40 hours, and they explained how it works. So each plane carries 2 bombs, and these bombs have the capacity to go 200 feet into the ground, which was a question of mine, but now I understand how they're going to go about it if they decide to go about it. And basically what they're going to do is they will launch one bomb into the ground, and these things are so high tech. They have GPS on them, like they can be so precise in the targets that they're going after with these bombs. So they can launch that first bomb into the ground. It'll go in about 200 feet and it's going to blow up, and they can actually determine where it's going to blow up. So that is pretty incredible as far as the technology is concerned. So they could actually drive this bomb into the ground and then blow it up or blow a hole. And what will happen is that it will open up the ground wider and deeper for a second bomb to go in, which would be ideally or optimally or maximally 400 feet, because 200 and 200 would be 400, which would get them down below where these Iranian bomb sites are buried. So now I understand how that's going to work, because I really was questioning how that was supposed to work out if the bombs can only go 200 feet and they're buried 300 feet. So it makes more sense to me now. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I imagine what I think is happening is that we are moving more of our military over to that region of the world in preparation, and that's why nothing's really concrete has been stated as to what we're doing as of the moment, but we are fortifying ourselves over there. And I think once everything's in place, then an announcement's going to be made, and I really honestly think that we are going to do something kind of drastic. I really do. I think so. So that's my thoughts on it, and I'm mixed about it. I really would like to know how you feel. Do you think we should be sending people there? Do you think we should be proactively blowing up their military defense, or should we just let the two countries fight it out? And then, you know, I have another question, because typically what we do when we get involved in these things, if we succeed, because we obviously didn't in Vietnam, but if we succeed, we go in and after the fact, and we help them reconstruct their infrastructure and whatever else that they need. So do you think in the case of Iran that if we succeed and the regime is taken down, should we go in and help reconstruct Iran? And I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but I do want a more peaceful world. I don't want to have to sit here and worry about what's going to happen here. And the other thing is, and of course it's the news, so I tend to believe this, but there's always that, are we getting propaganda lies in the media again? But my understanding is that Israel is going after the military and the people involved with the military and trying to avoid hitting the civilians. And meanwhile, just this morning, it was announced that Iran blew up a hospital in Israel. So the opposite is true with Iran, that they will go after civilians, which is, anyway. But as far as how we're vulnerable, and I don't know, you know, how easy it would be for them to bomb the United States. Somebody mentioned New York or Los Angeles, but I live near Atlanta. They want to shut the country down. Atlanta airport might be a good place to go. Or do they want to go blow up Washington, D.C. or, you know, some other big cities around? Or do they even have the capacity to go after our missile silos? I don't know. I honestly do not know what they're capable of doing. But, you know, it's been a very long time since we've had any kind of military actual action here on the continental U.S. And I don't even know if we have our Golden Dome in place. I kind of think not. I mean, that was just announced a couple days ago. So what do we have to set that up? You know, I don't know. And how vulnerable are we? You know, my entire generation, we've never seen fighting in our own backyards, and we've become very complacent, I think, and comfortable in the fact that it'll never happen here, or the thought that it will never happen here, but there's nothing to say that it won't. And I don't want to be making people scared or anything. I just want people to think about all these different things as you're listening to the news and listening to people talk, and how much of it is rhetoric, and how much of it's actually going to happen or could potentially happen. And I don't know everything either. So, you know, I'm not an expert in any of this. I've just been around for a little while, so I know what I've seen and what I've learned, and I'm just kind of passing my thoughts on. Let me know what you guys think.